going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal, Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check. This is an early edition of the State of Wrestling, and that is Jake fucking DeMarco. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, my friend. We got quite the amazing weekend from the one, the only TNA.
Yep.
Talk about a sellout crowd and a raucous arena, a really stellar show. Now we've got TNA Live to look forward to this week, as well as Saturday night's main event. We're cooking good, my friend.
We are cooking good, and we're leading right into the Royal Rumble as well. Cheap plug for Jake. Tune in after Saturday night's main event and after the Royal Rumble. Plans are, unless, a comet hits the earth or something like that, we will be live streaming after both of those shows over on Jake's channel. I need to stop saying a live review because then people think we're doing a watch-along, which is very different. Watch-alongs, cheap plug, go check out the guys over at the Wrestling for Life Network. They're kicking it out of the park as far as watch-alongs, but when you're done with them, come and watch us. We're not all competitors. We're all friends here. Kind of like WWE and TNA. Hey!
Ooh.
So, guys, cards on the table. We're recording a bit earlier this week because of the schedule between myself and Jake, so there's not a whole lot to talk about. We're going to talk about the early stages of this deal between TNA and WWE and what we've seen so far, and then we're going to briefly knock out a Saturday night's main event preview as well, because there's fun stuff coming up, but it's not the kind of fun stuff that's going to entice a whole lot of debate and discussion. So we're cramming it all in. It's going to be a shorter pod than usual, but thank you for joining us. As always, if you're listening on Spotify or iTunes, please come and check us out on YouTube or hopefully I get more of you over on Rumble as well, being the YouTube alternative, Spaz Phoenix podcast and all that for all the live streams and whatnot. Go check out Jake over at Countdown Ended. If you're listening on Spotify, hit me up with a like, maybe a review, etc. Toss something in the comment section down below if you're listening on Rumble or YouTube. I really need to start plugging better, so that was my whirlwind attempt.
Hey, that was great. You got it all off with half a breath left.
Nice. So out of shape.
Hey,
so
you know what though? TNA
and it's
back
cold
in
up here.
Commanding form. They really just totally seized the opportunity that was this weekend with the blockbuster announcement that NXT and TNA are far from over. They have signed a multi-year deal to continue working together in an even larger capacity. And for a while, we were kind of curious, like, how does this benefit WWE? What does this do for? And then we started to see it. Really, yeah, they're making over TNA wrestlers and whatnot, but they're also scouting future talent as well, because we know Jordan Grace, Joe Hendry, many others. Who knows about Alexander? But many names seem to be coming towards the WWE and NXT side of things.
But here's the thing as well, right? Like, and I know I keep retreading the same ground because the conversation won't die. It's always funny to me that WWE working with TNA, they're just going to scalp all their talent. But, on the other side, you got AEW who have their deals with CMLL and New Japan and whatever. And, like, how many former New Japan talents now have an Are All Elite thing next to their name?
Yeah.
They tried to pick up Stephanie Vacour. They lost that battle, but they still tried. It's funny how it's only bad when WWE does it. Even the people that are rumored to be coming over from AEW to WWE, they're vultures, they're scavengers, and it's like, no, the pendulum's just swinging the other way now. Like, I was bummed when a bunch of people went to WWE. We had those, to AEW. We had those conversations the night that they introduced Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole in the same night, and I messaged you, and I said, I think we're basically fucked.
CM Punk's return match, all of it.
It was a bummer, but I'm not going to say, they're bad for picking up people that they know are going to be in the headlines.
No doubt, but that really felt like a change in the shift of things. Like, that was the first time it felt like a true game-changer moment had happened, even though people threw that out a ton. Yeah. It never really came to that, never came to fruition to be until that night.
When they had Punk, they had the conversation.
Yeah,
because Punk is that guy. Bryan Danielson, similar, like, Danielson's, I like Danielson. I know he's a great wrestler. I know he's contributed a lot. Never quite been my guy like Punk, but I think it was just weird how he was handled. He was very giving and very, like, putting other people ahead of him and like didn't even really want to win the belt, which is really, really selfless on his part. But I think it sort of struck everybody as a bit odd, like, hey, you've got this big name in Danielson, why are you doing it this way? So they did I'll give them the credit, they did have the conversation for a long time. But
that night really felt like WCW Who's the Third Man, Outsiders kind of like changing the swing of things to me, and then they blundered it. But Punk was the legend. He was the go-to name. Then you had Bryan, who was the fan favorite and the go-to of like the current era. And then you had Cole, who was like the indie darling / hero to NXT. So they were going to get a different subsect of the crowd. Like they had something for everyone in those three. It felt like the Outsiders in the formation of NWO in the sense of like, now they're going to start doing better in the ratings. Now they're going to start making themselves competition for WWE. I really felt like that night was their statement.
Is this a fair statement, right? Like, because I know we have people like Seth Rollins and we have, to a lesser extent, Finn Balor, Roman Reigns, and whatnot. Is it fair to say Adam Cole might have been the best NXT project at the time back in the black and gold era? Like him, the way they presented him, he was the star. Undisputed Era was the biggest thing going on in NXT, and he was the biggest name in the Undisputed Era. So he was like the number one almost NXT product. Like, a lot of people went over from WWE. A lot of people were unhappy with old WWE. We were unhappy with old WWE. But
we saw what they were doing to NXT talent at that point. I mean, look at how they treated Karrion Kross. If I was Adam Cole, I would have said "fuck this" too and ran away screaming.
But I'm just saying in the sense
Keith
of
Lee,
like,
I mean, all of it. Everyone was basically receiving a death sentence on the main roster at that point.
Right.
It was just hard to not feel like, hey, if I come up here, what am I going to do? They wanted Adam Cole to be a manager in Vince's eyes. So,
but I'm just
why
saying,
he
like,
left,
in the sense of like everybody else that I saw go over from the main roster, we saw the state of the main roster at the time, and it's like, okay, it sucks. Like they're going to the other team, but I get it. Like Adam Cole was the one that it feels like AEW took from the NXT fans, and it was a very different feeling because when WWE sucked, at least you had NXT. So it was them getting Adam Cole was quite a different feeling. But I'm just saying, right now, there's lots of names in WWE and lots of names, if not on their way to WWE, rumored to be on their way to WWE, that are all prospective names of whoever. But the kickoff and the, I guess you want to say like the first step of the new official deal, because they were already working together before, was Genesis, because on the same day that deal was announced, and we talked about it last week. We also talked about that little advertising reel that TNA ran that was all just like scatter shots of like NXT shows, TNA shows, NXT talent, TNA talent, and then you had the NXT logo on the Genesis logo. So you knew something was going to happen.
Oh, absolutely. You knew something was coming.
But I think it's kind of cool. They didn't, I know people use this term in wrestling way too much, but they didn't blow their load all in one night.
No,
either.
They didn't.
On the kickoff, it was nice. Obviously, you've got the tie-in with Santino Marella as well, but Ariana Grace sort of revamping her role as the NXT TNA liaison and introducing Ashanti the Adonis. Ashanti the Adonis has an impromptu open challenge on the kickoff, and immediately I was thinking, somebody like a Trey Miguel, because I forgot he had a match later on in the night, but somebody like a Trey Miguel is going to come out with Ashanti the Adonis, and they're going to have this amazing firecracker match. And instead it was Jake something who just killed him. And
destroyed him.
Ashanti the Adonis, because he's playing this sort of dorky, like, wannabe lover boy type of character right now, he's really good at getting his ass kicked comically.
He is.
And I enjoy, and he introduces himself as like, I am, the lover boy, Ashanti the Adonis, and da-da-da-da-da. And it's just like, you're cutting the I'm about to have my head cut off promo.
Yeah.
And Jake Something's a monster, and it worked. We've got, on our side of the coin, we've got guys like Obafemi, guys like the Creeds, guys like, I don't know who else, Bronson Reed, who just like monster people. They've got something, pun intended, in Jake Something.
They do.
He came out, and so the very first interaction is NXT sort of giving them somebody on a silver platter. Somebody like Jake Something gets to look good on the kickoff. It was unexpected, which means it immediately gets attention. It was an open challenge, which immediately like throws the floodgates open for all your creative juices, and having him be introduced by Ariana Grace, who's already established in this sort of like between the brands role, I thought it was a really cool way to kick it off.
Yeah, absolutely. And the way that they had him, basically, just it was a commanding enough match, and it was cool to be like, oh wow, it's somebody from NXT. It's not the biggest deal, but like it tempered expectations in a way where it was like, oh, definitely somebody notable, but it wasn't like the biggest star yet. So it was a good way to do the kickoff, I feel.
I think the one thing that I was kind of expecting, and it's kind of a boring answer, right? But I was kind of hoping like either Triple H or Shawn Michaels would come out. Because when TNA last year, not as a huge, oh my God, let's pat ourselves on the back thing, but when they announced that they were working hand in hand with AAA,
yeah,
they had a guy out there. I mean, granted, this is like Scott Demura was still with them at that point as well, and it was Scott Demura and it was this fella from AAA whose name I can't remember, and it's just like, let's get that handshake on camera so that we can all enjoy it. You know what I mean? Like it's like a fake contract signing. We know the contract is already signed. The contract signing is there so that the two guys can fight. In this case, having the two figureheads just have a couple of seconds on screen together. I don't know. After Scott D'Amore left, I don't know the names of the people that took over from him, so they're not as familiar. So maybe it wouldn't have been as poignant because they're not seen as like on-screen figureheads. But I was really hoping we were going to get something like that, even if it was Shawn Michaels, because it is more of an NXT thing than a WWE thing.
Certainly.
Kind of surprised that they didn't have something like that. When like whether you want to call it like a metaphorical ribbon cutting or whatever people would call it, but surprised that they're not doing that. If they're more involved in Vengeance Day, maybe we could do that on that show instead. But like the ball's already rolling now, so it feels like the time for a moment like that has already kind of passed.
That makes sense, yeah.
But no, and Ariana Grace, as she's the bubbly, everybody loves me, I'm the beauty pageant person, and I'm here with all my NXT friends, but I don't want to spoil any. Like, she's the kind of like chintzy character that can say that, but also, hey guys, stay tuned, there's other people coming.
Yeah, exactly.
Now,
I mean, this is not everything, but hey, hold out. I like that.
Social media-wise, Zachary Wentz is a really good follow on X. Just if you are enjoying other people enjoying stuff, like if you want to see like your favorite wrestlers enjoying their day at work, follow Zachary Wentz. He's like super positive. He's pumping everything out there. He's probably an advertising machine for both companies at this point. But as soon as the deal was announced, he sort of put it out there really quickly on X. Like he quote tweeted the initial announcement. Like, don't I still have a tag team title shot over there?
Yeah, hey.
Cue the dream match that they had with the Hardys, which was a lot of fun, by the way, for the people that suddenly out of nowhere like shitting on the Hardys.
I'm not sure why. They've been working really well together, too. It's like they don't feel as slow and winded as they did in AEW. And that's not just an AEW thing. Like, I don't know if they're doing better with their exercising cardio, but they just seem...
I think they benefit from the... like 3 or 4 days on, couple weeks off, 3 or 4 days on, couple weeks off, like the taping schedule.
Yeah, with the filming
that TNA does. Yeah. Like we're really hyped about this one live episode that's coming up this Thursday. Happy for them. Let's see what that does for them numbers wise and whatever. But the type of recording schedule that they typically have, it means that there's spoilers and whatnot. But for people that are not exactly spring chickens like the Hardys, I love the Hardys, but let's be real for a second. I have to imagine that a schedule like that kind of benefits them in the regard of, of course you can go out there and kill yourself tonight because you're not doing it again tomorrow.
Yeah.
But no, I thought it was a lot of fun. Big pop for Fraxium's music hitting and them just grabbing the chairs and having a seat, wearing the belts, obviously, because that's what you do, and just watching the match, and it's like, oh, okay. For a second, I thought they were going to do like a double title, triple threat thing. Yeah. But they didn't overcook the steak. They just had
they had them watching from the side.
There was
they got involved later on, which was cool, and
couple little run-ins. Hardys retained the titles. Rascals. Sorry, but like if there's going to be like the Hardy Boys are going to come back to WWE at some point and do something, and I'm going to pop when it happens. But if you're picking opponents for Fraxium, Rascals, Fitz, and they went kind of face to face. I believe during and after the match, because the Hardys basically they got the win and fucked off. It was announced later on in the night that on the live episode we're getting this Thursday, it's an NXT tag team title shot on Impact, Rascals versus Fraxium. It's gonna happen at some point, man.
Yeah.
Somebody from somewhere else is gonna hold somebody else's title. Now we've had TNA people come to NXT to fight for NXT titles. We've had NXT people go to TNA and fight for TNA titles. We've never had NXT champion takes their title over to TNA to defend them. Like it's always been a challenger.
Face the Rascals on the live show for the NXT titles is like
like we've never had the champions be the visitors. Now
so
Jordan Grace, I should say, when she came over to challenge Roxanne Perez for the title at, Battleground Las Vegas, she was the Knockouts champion at the time, but it wasn't a title match. So we've had a champion come over, but not for the purpose of defending their title. Like Masha Slamovich is another situation we're going to talk about in a second. I think we're going to get that at Vengeance Day. Not going to lie. Unless we're recording this on Tuesday, unless they decide that they're going to do it tonight or something.
Yeah.
But
because the only thing I see for NXT tonight, which people would have already seen, I've got Obafemi and Eddie Thorpe for the title. We've got Tony D and Ridge Holland for the North American title. And then Lexis King and Charlie Dempsey again for the Heritage Cup. Which I'm excited for. I've enjoyed each one of their matches so far. So another rematch with them, it fits. It suits for what they're trying to do.
You know what's funny about that?
I'm okay with it.
Is everybody that I'm not supposed to like in these various scenarios, I like. Like Charlie Dempsey and Lexis King were both kind of heels, and they came together in this sort of tit for tat thing that they're doing, and it's allowed me to like both of them. And then you've got Eddie Thorpe, who's being a jackass, but he's finally showing some character, so I like it. And you got Obafemi, rather, who's sort of in that I'm a monster. I don't care if you're a good guy or a bad guy. I'm going to kill you. So
I'm just going to kill you regardless.
He doesn't really fit into that babyface or heel mode either. So I think it's allowing me to like a lot of people that I'm not supposed to really like. But yeah, if you're going to do a match, you do it with these guys. Rascals. It's kind of funny that the Rascals just kind of disappeared after Trey got injured and sort of finished off his stuff with Wes Lee.
That was it.
As much as I love the crossover, this is one of those things where it's like, okay,
more could have happened, should have happened, and possibly will happen.
For this coming Thursday, because there's lore with Wes Lee, I kind of don't want him to come and fuck this up.
I don't either.
Leave the Wes Lee part of the story in your back pocket.
Yeah, no doubt.
If Fraxium retain and Wes Lee goes and finishes like unfinished business after the match, then cool. But if this is like I say, you're only going to get to do the first one once where a title is picked up by somebody in the other company. Not like AEW, who go to New Japan and take all their belts because Sasha needs 4, apparently. But the historical thing between NXT and TNA, and I hope, as I say, I hope main roster WWE does get involved in this to some degree, but I like that it's still a mostly NXT thing. It seems to make sense. Somebody's going to take somebody else's belt at some point, and if that moment is going to happen on this Thursday's live Impact, I want it to be as clean as possible, if that makes sense. Like, let the moment be the proper moment, because like Fraxium are kind of dicks, but I don't think they're like heels. Like, we don't hate Fraxium. They're like one of the best tag teams of 2024.
Yeah.
So, like, they're cocky and whatever. And the Rascals, I'm sure, are not everybody's cup of tea either. So just let them go out there and, like, have a 4-way pat on the back, look how fucking awesome we are match. Yeah. And you never know, the rumor of a re-signed Lince Dorado could fit into that high-flying mix soon, too. Just on a separate note. If Alex Abrahantes shows up in WWE, but it's to manage Lince Dorado instead of Penta, I'm going to kind of laugh at that a little bit. I'm not going to lie.
That would be funny, but I on a side note, love how they're tweaking his entrance, everything about him.
Yeah.
They added the Mexican spinning firework. I don't know the name of it, but you see him at all the quinceañeras and whatnot. It's that firework that spins. It's got a name, like a pinwheel, but
yeah. When I was listening to What Culture earlier, God, I had to listen to Sidgwick, but it's the something pinwheel. There's a name for it.
Yes.
On a side note, just speaking of that guy from What Culture, what do you think of this new idea that's come along now, where somebody can get cheered in WWE, but they don't get cheered when they're in AEW because WWE fans have put a cheer tax on AEW? A cheer tax.
That's a new word.
That's some new flavor of bullshit, but
yeah.
In other words, basically, like, if we were going to cheer you up to 10, we'll only cheer you up to a 7 if you're in AEW because that's the tax.
Yeah, which doesn't make sense at all. It's all about presentation and how you
It's cope, man.
It's pure cope.
And I'm not.
I don't know what he's got to do with this.
And I'm not even. I'm not even saying that to make the Adam Copeland joke, but it's just cope. And they're dragging, they're pulling on, like, not even strings, like the fiber that used to be string, that used to be a thread of an argument. Like, well, why are they cheering for Penta all of a sudden because he came to WWE? Because he's being treated like a star.
They said, who's the best luchador you got? And they got him, and then he's having these incredible matches, probably one of the longest matches, too, on the card both weeks, it feels like.
And I'm sorry, like, for me personally,
yeah.
Giant fan of Pete Dunne, yes, Destiny, check it off your Spaz Phoenix bucket list, it's fine. The guy's criminally underutilized, so to put him in there with a brand new person, he's probably got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder of, hey, I haven't been used that much. And if you're watching not American Netflix, he cut a promo to that effect during the commercial break.
Yeah.
Basically, I don't even barely get on TV anymore, and it's because I don't get respect from you guys and whatever. But the real Pete Dunne, or the real guy behind Pete Dunne, I don't know what his real name is, if he's got a chip on his shoulder, he's going to take that and run with it and say, hey, here's a brand new guy that I know they're trying to push. I'm going to bust my ass and make him look like $1 million. It was a good like,
we got that both weeks. People were saying, oh, Penta only looks great because of who he worked with. And I'm like, it's not the McPhee comparison again. I'm like, I'm telling you, it's not. We're going to see this really be something because Penta works well with others. And it's also that they're not allowing Penta to do 5 million ridiculous super bullshit moves. You know, that was a problem in AEW because you saw him and Phoenix kind of adhere to their style. So they were doing the infinite super kick, Young Buck indie match that we really kind of grown over in WWE terms. He's not doing that here. Yeah, he's doing a Canadian Destroyer once, and it makes sense, and it almost kills his opponent, and it's, you know what I mean? Like, they're not reversing a Canadian Destroyer into a Canadian Destroyer, then chopping each other in the chest. You're pitting somebody. You're getting covered. You're getting, like, it's not...
And the whole point of that as well is, like, I know you talk about the less is more thing, right? That over-the-top, everything and two hats on everything type of match that Penta can do will come at some point. Like,
yes.
We will get a match that is that ridiculous because we know Penta can do it.
We certainly will.
We will, but it'll feel special because you didn't see it the week before and the week before and the week before. And here's the other thing, too, right?
Well, that lucha style will likely come out when he faces, you know, another luchador maybe, or, like, there's
eventually
levels,
eventually they're going to throw him in the ring with somebody like a Dragon Lee that knows that style, or even with a Ray who's, you know, like the Hardy Boys, he's not 97 WCW Ray anymore, but
no.
Like he's capable and he can bring that out and like they'll know each other. It would be like, you know, taking Daniel Bryan and CM Punk from ROH and putting them in a WWE ring, and the bunch of us, myself included, went, wow, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
But here's the thing as well. I'm gonna get on a pulpit for a second, right? As much as New Japan fans and AEW fans and indie fans would love to think so, WWE fans aren't stupid.
No.
Right? We know what's going on. There's no such... Okay, unless you don't have internet, there's no such thing as a casual fan. Like, there's people that watch wrestling casually,
yes,
but there's no such thing as a casual fan. So everybody and their mother knows Penta's here, Ray's not here. Why
that's
is
what
Ray
they said. It was the worst kept secret, and the crowd reacted as such.
Well, exactly, and that's why I like that they're using Michael Cole as the mouthpiece, but it's WWE having fun with their audience, like wink and a nudge. We know you guys are in on the joke.
Yeah.
But here's the thing as well. Penta is part of a tag team. Why isn't his tag team partner here? Because Tony Khan is fucking him. Right?
Exactly.
So the fans that can't show their sympathy for that situation to Ray are going to give it to Penta. The extra support that they want to show to Ray that they can't show to Ray because Ray's in a straitjacket in a basement somewhere, they're going to give even more to Penta until Ray can get there. We're not stupid.
No.
They'd like to think it would be so much easier for AEW fans if WWE fans were stupid, because then WWE wouldn't have to try, and WWE wouldn't be as good as it is right now. But because we aren't stupid, and WWE is trying and winning, by the way, they're just gonna cope, and they're gonna talk about the AEW cheer tax.
That blew my mind away. I'm sorry. That was insanely stupid to hear. I had not heard that yet. So that's like a big wait, what?
Yeah,
you know,
the cheer tax. The tax. It's the AEW tax.
And that's the thing. It's all about how they're handled and presented.
To be AEW is to be under constant attack. Eat my ass with a spoon. Speaking of not that, later on in the show, awesome hardcore. I mean, there's not much to say about the Tessa Jordynne Grace situation. They had a phenomenal match.
You're a racist.
They had a phenomenal match. People were performatively, look at me, I'm on the right side of said issue, whatever the case may be.
Like you said, now, because it matters now.
Jordynne Grace had, I don't know if you've seen the behind-the-scenes stuff.
I got to cut you off really quickly, because they didn't chant that to her then when all these allegations came out, and she was still performing at that time, too. Like, they didn't do that to her. They went ahead and they made us feel like, oh, no, we're in the wrong for thinking that, and now, oh, no, that's the right opinion. Well, why? Because she's trying to make herself, redeemed and apologize to people and own up to her bullshit? Like, now you're supposed to ostracize her and exclude her and make her feel terrible? Like, I don't know. Like,
while people who have been in the biggest companies in the world have sported T-shirts and armbands, etc., in support of much worse and, dare I say, terroristic type of ideals.
WWE going over to Saudi and just being willing to perform there speaks louder than fucking people usually do in other shit.
You swung in a way different direction than I did, but
no, I know,
equally
but
true. Equally true. Equally true. I'm not going to get into a whole thing about the riots. It's almost 4 years ago now, but if you supported the riots, you're an asshole. It is what it is. But yeah, like, I kind of have to skim over it because it's like it's another classic example of that I don't like you anymore, therefore you're not good.
Yeah.
I showed you the graphic that's been floating around, and most of the people have sort of captioned it, WWE could do the funniest thing ever. And it's Charlotte versus Britt Baker, who we're going to talk about later, versus Tessa. I'm like, give me that match.
Yeah,
and you know what?
Because
I'm so sick of everybody's bullshit. Never mind the fact that match will be fantastic. Britt Baker might be carried by the other two a little bit in that match. Respectfully, I'm saying.
But Britt isn't bad. We knew
she's
Britt
not
was
terrible.
Never bad.
She's not terrible.
She has redeeming qualities.
She absolutely does. She would be the greener person in that match, though. Let's be fair.
No doubt. But it's bad when she's doing more to really go ahead and take care of dentistry work in the back than wrestling.
Fair,
like people are going up to her with tooth problems instead of her having matches. Like that's speaking volumes with it.
No, but and you know what it is? We're going to go on a tangent here now, which is absolutely fine. People are saying the same thing about Britt Baker that they're saying about Malachi Black, right?
Yes.
Oh, they're really hard to work with because they don't want to lose, right? Here's the thing. If you're coming to complain about, I'm going to use Malachi Black because he's less of a polarizing person. If you're coming and complaining about working with Malachi Black because he doesn't want to lose, it's because you don't want to lose either.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
can
we be fair for a second?
Here.
Anyways, my point with the triple threat thing, and it's definitely not happening, but that match would be funny. And honest to God, as much as we could talk about how good the match would be, and it would be good. Let's be real. Britt Baker's a character. Charlotte knows how to soak in the hate, and Tessa looks like she doesn't give a single shit. Right?
I wanted Tessa in WWE when she was doing the mixed match challenge. No, the women's tournament there.
The Mae Young.
Mae Young. Here we go.
I forgot she was in that.
Yeah,
I forgot.
And then she was in
Britt Baker was in NXT.
Yeah, and so was Tessa for a hot second too. So yeah.
But here's the thing though, right? and it's sad that it gets me to this place because I want to enjoy a match for how good a match is, right? Like,
remember Britt being in the audience too during the Adam Cole match?
Oh my God!
Them cutting to her and all the controversy that caused. Sorry, I had to bring that back. But
how is it supposed to be? And here's one of those things where I will
tribalism,
say,
my friend. That's why.
Okay, but here's something I will. To be fair to the AEW side of things, it goes both ways in that regard. Like, people show up and backstage at an AEW show to see their friend. People show up backstage at a WWE show to see their friend. Ricky Starks showed up. Bayley showed up to support Sasha. And people freak out both ways. Both sides need to fuck off with that shit. To be completely fair and honest about it. To be completely fair and honest about it. But one of the things that I will say, Britt Baker, Charlotte Flair, Tessa Blanchard, triple threat match at WrestleMania. I don't even care if the match is good. I just want that match to. It's like Cocaine Bear.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care.
I know it's not going to be great. Just let
no. I don't care if this is good. I'm glad it exists. The movie Sick that I told you about, the whole COVID parody thing.
Yes.
I don't care if this is good. It was a lot of fun. It actually is pretty fucking good. But like, I don't I don't care if it's good or not. I just love that this exists. If we ever get that Britt versus Charlotte versus Tessa match, I don't care if it's good. I hope it sucks. As weird as that is to say, because Tessa's great, Charlotte's great, and Britt Baker can hold her own, I hope it sucks. I hope it pisses off every single person that it's supposed to piss off.
Right.
What's my thing when I do a solo video? Why do I like it? Because it pisses off all the right people. Oh,
and you know what didn't piss me off was this Clockwork Orange House of Fun match. I wasn't sure how they were going to tie in the Clockwork Orange thing. If it was going to be like, are they going to hold their eyes open? Are they going to tap in the ring?
It's a very loose. It's a very loose tie-in to, like, this is the kind of match that we've been used to. I always love the fact that when they do the Clockwork Orange House of Fun match, there's always, like, a panel of fence on one side of the ring that doesn't really make any sense, but it's always there. Sometimes they've actually removed the ring ropes and had the fence around it instead. But, like, not a cage. Just here's one wall for reasons.
Yeah.
I thought it was really good. I mean, it's Rosemary's cup of tea. I thought Raven was going to be there to manage her for the night. I was wrong. Would have been cool to see that just for the nostalgia factor and for the direct tie-in. But Masha Slamovich went in, held her own, and succeeded in all that. There was no bullshit, which I think is kind of good. I was thinking, okay, the Cora Jade's going to cost her the match, and that'll set off to their feud. But she just picked up that she just picked up that title off of such a dominant name in Jordan Grace that's so synonymous with that division. It might have derailed her a little bit if she dropped it so quickly. Because lots of people like Rosemary. I don't want to see Masha lose it yet.
And they did have her, in the crowd at NXT being like, did you see anybody you like, anything interesting, that kind of thing. So seems like
Shawn Michaels backstage said, I'm only a call away.
Yeah.
Cora Jade coming down afterwards, and because she's not, I wouldn't picture her as being a hardcore wrestler. She's not a diva. I don't want to go in that direction, but she's not somebody that's going to have like a Texas death match or something like that.
Typically, no, yeah.
When she was coming down to face Masha Slamovich, and she's kind of paused and just sort of looked around at all the like wreckage around them, because there was quite a bit by the end.
There was so many things around that ring. I mean, there was some crazy stuff, and then she went and she grabbed the thumbtacks, and they had a typical hardcore match. I'm not big into hardcore matches. The ladies kicked the shit out of each other. That's really all that needs to be said.
Yeah.
It sucked that Rosemary, you knew she wasn't going to win here, but I like what they did for her. They put her over by being just a Twix sadistic bitch. You sick fuck. I love the chants. I love the audience. The audience played into every single gruesome moment by like really putting it over, being like, oh my God, they're doing this, they're doing that. Oh my God. And the audience would groan and gasp. So it was fun to see all that. I give them credit for what they did.
I like the fact that they're a happy medium, right? Because WWE could probably do more in the letting some of unless your name's Rhea Ripley, let's be real for a second.
Yeah.
The women's division is rolling along pretty good. There's not a whole lot of like badassery other than like somebody like a Shotzi, Shotzi's group, Rhea Ripley, Shayna Baszler when she gets a chance to shine. And then on the other side of the coin, you've got AEW, where they do the blackout match, whatever the hell it is, that at the end of the night where like nothing really counts, whatever, lights out match. There we go. Thank you, Brian.
There we go. I knew what you meant. I couldn't think of it myself.
And you think of somebody like a Britt Baker, who has done terrible, horrible things in those matches, right?
Yes.
What TNA has is a pretty good happy medium between the two, where these ladies are going out there, they're being badass. Doesn't hurt at all the fact that they get to wrestle the men, because TNA is ahead of all of us in that regard.
But their mindset for this match was also great too, because they were there to entertain the fans. They weren't worried about getting 5 stars.
No,
As where the
course.
first thing Britt said after her match there with the lights out with Thunder Rosa was, "You think Meltzer's going to give it 5 stars?" You know, so that's what killed that for me. Like, that was their mindset there. They had
I
to
get
get
that,
his
but
approval.
I get that, but I also want to give her a little bit of credit that is the exact statement that's gonna wind people up.
It is, but it was sincere. Yeah. It wasn't made for public consumption. They had it on the backstage TV show like months later.
Oh.
So it wasn't like she did it on TV.
Okay.
It was afterwards. She got in the back, and the first thing she said to Tony Khan, "Do you think Meltzer will give it 5 stars?" Like, it wasn't an angle or anything. It was her being genuine, because that's the culture they cultivated in that locker room. Punk said it. They focused themselves on star ratings and match of the night instead of storytelling and booking going forward. You know, they want to go out there and have a 30-minute Broadway end-to-end with every weapon in the sun included, you know, under the sun, and instead that's, you know, how you destroy your audience. And that's
but it's the difference between like a hardcore brawl and a stunt show. And I'm sorry to keep saying
exactly, but this match was a hardcore brawl. It didn't ever go to the point where it was like, oh look, they added this, and it's like they walloped the hell out of each other. Each thing looked like it hurt. And I can't overstate it enough, I don't care for hardcore matches, but this worked.
Yeah, it's one of those, it's not my thing, but you can still see that it's good.
Yes.
My thing, like, and I know I keep going back to the same people, and it sounds like I'm picking on them. I'm not really. It's AEW's decision, not necessarily theirs. But the whole feud with Swerve, who's great on his day, and Hangman, who's not my guy. But, like, as soon as you go to the needle and the plastic bag, it's no longer a match. And I'm not like I'm not trying to do the typical
same thing with the cinder block and drinking the blood, and it's like it passes that extreme level.
The cinder block thing, the first couple of times they did it with Joe, especially when it like fell apart because it was like dust.
Yeah,
I can see that being a wrestling spot that went wrong, and I can buy that. This is where I'm drawing a line where there doesn't need to really be a line.
No, I'm talking about when they were like, they proved it was a real cinder block in that match.
They dropped him on his
head. They just kept dropping each other on it to be like, fuck you, this is real cinder. This is real glass, you know? Cry me a river.
Okay, but here's the thing though, right? Like there's silly stuff that works because wrestling is silly by nature. There's wrestling silly, and then there's silly for wrestling.
Yeah.
Because to do the bag shit, to do the hypodermic needle shit, just 2 examples, is basically where you have to pause the match and say, hey, look at this stunt we're doing.
Exactly.
Whereas the cinder block thing, I get where you're coming from. It's not for everybody.
Because you're really dumping him on it, as where you know the needle's not a loaded needle that's actually going to incapacitate Swerve. You know it's a prop. So you go from you're really hurting each other on cinder and glass and tacks and... Now
but that's what I mean. Like in the tacks,
like you said, it takes you out of it. So to accept it, it's got to be way past the realm of believability.
Because what did he do with the cinder block? He did the dead eye on the cinder block, didn't he?
He did that, but he also did like some type of where he like I forget the move, but
he backdropped him or something.
Yeah, it was like a power slam, something like that. Where I remember he slammed him.
That's where I'm drawing. That's where I'm drawing this line that doesn't really exist. That's still a wrestling move enhanced by. It's the same as like, okay, are you going to powerbomb?
But the only reason he dropped him on it was because of the criticism that they received previously. So
but okay, like thumbtacks. Is the prime example, right? Thumbtacks is kind of silly if you think about it, but it's
absolutely.
okay.
But it's a great visual because you can see them stick into somebody. Like I get why.
But you're still doing a wrestling move. Is my point, and that's where I'm trying to get with the.
Oh block. No, I understand that.
A choke slam onto the mat. A choke slam onto the thumbtacks. A choke slam onto the block, right? But to do the syringe thing. You stopped the match. Nobody was doing a move. You just did the needle thing and then carried on.
You're right, and you're not wrong either. But the thing is that doing the thumbtacks, the worst that's going to happen to you is they got to pull thumbtacks out of you. As where the drop on the cinder becomes a risk for paralyzation just because you want to be a badass, a pseudo tough guy. Like that's the shit that I I don't want to see wrestlers hurt themselves for a stupid reason. So that when they put each other at risk for something needless, like it's not even like Angle and Shane being like, fuck it, they used the wrong glass, but we got to do it. You know what I mean? Like that. It wasn't like they didn't have to do that. It wasn't a planned moment. It wasn't. They did that strictly to go to the fans that said, oh, the other cinder block broke apart like nothing, so that means this is, we're proving to you, no, it is real. We always use real, and that was the line too far, where you don't need to willingly hurt your opponent to put yourselves over.
Okay, yeah, you're doing it. Okay, so this is where it is.
we're approaching it from different angles.
We're coming at it from two different angles, right? You're coming at it from the safety angle, which is 100% a valid point to come from. I mean, like, you never know, like, somebody gets the wrong kind of infection, you could die from the thumbtacks, right?
With it, so that's why I was mentioning that.
But what I'm saying is, like, you literally, to do the needle thing.
Yeah, you're no longer doing anything real. You have to stop and put on a play.
You've paused the match.
Yeah.
Look at this stunt we're doing. Okay, now get back to the match. Like, it as much as I should be thinking about the safety thing, like you just were, I'm thinking about the fact that it literally stopped the match, and if it stops the match, it doesn't belong in the match.
Yeah.
Whereas all the kick-ass shit that they did in this match, bringing it back to Masha and Rosemary, there was a lot of kick-ass stuff in there. A lot of stuff looked like it sucked to take, but it was in the flow of a match, and it's in that attitude of, like, TNA does stray creatively a little bit more. Like, they did the Hardy Compound, and they do, like, Rosemary in the Undead Realm and stuff like that. So they've created an atmosphere in that company where this stuff fits. Whereas it's not the wrestling company, we're going to treat it like a real sport, but here's a hypodermic needle in a plastic bag. So this is where I'm saying, like,
it takes you out of the moment and brings it to the full world of fantasy, and it's no longer anything believable. And that's the problem, and that's where they didn't approach with this. The women still managed to look like true badasses while keeping the kayfabe alive, I guess you could.
And this is where I'm saying, like, I'm a very, very biased WWE guy, and I'm pretty much against AEW, and TNA, like, they found a medium, and I genuinely believe, like, with the women's division specifically, because their women's division, like, as we talk about NXT's women's division a lot, I think just by virtue of the size of the two companies, like, even as much attention as we give the TNA women's division, they still don't get as much as they should. And generally speaking, that division has a little extra oomph behind them because, once again, TNA is the only company out of the three that actually ventures into the intergender wrestling, and you've got a bunch of women that you've seen mixing it up with the guys.
They add in that weird...
And I'm sorry to say it, but that does make a difference.
It does. Makes a huge difference. And that's kind of like the thing we've been saying with Rhea Ripley. Like, there's not that many females that... Like, Nia's a good fit for her. As much as I don't care about the match... Yeah, logistically speaking, it makes sense. So,
well, but it's like, look at, and I mean, I never watched Lucha Underground. I probably should one day.
It was a lot of fun. It got really crazy. Like, they were killing each other off. There was a lot of, like, crazy storylines.
It was like actual cinema before WWE mastered cinema.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is, like, it must have had an effect on some people. Because when Penta debuted, one of the first things that I saw filling up my feed is, oh, when's he going to face Chelsea Green again?
Yep.
That's cool, man.
And it's cool that people remember that.
And it's being rumored right now that if you I don't follow hardly any gaming shit. I'd wait for the new game to come out. I play it. I get back to watching the TV show. It's rumored that they're going to have intergender wrestling in the next WWE 2K game.
I heard that as well, so I'm waiting to see what happens.
Because here's the thing, like, it indicates to me that they're at least thinking about it, in real life, so to speak. Because if they throw it into the game as a new feature and then don't do it for real, that's going to come off really weird.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
That's going to come off really super weird. But anyways, Cora Jade confronts Masha Slamovich, gives her the old universal symbol of the belt around the waist, and that's going to happen at some point. As I say, we're recording this on Tuesday. For all I know, it could happen in the next 20 minutes or so. It's a match I want to see at some point. I don't know the status of Killer Kelly. Masha Slamovich's old tag team partner in MK Ultra, but the two of them taking on Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez as sort of a last-ditch effort before Roxanne Perez gets called up wouldn't hurt my feelings.
Yeah, no doubt.
MK Ultra coming and saving our women's tag team titles from Bianca Belair and Naomi wouldn't hurt my feelings.
No, certainly not.
If TNA stars go to NXT to pick up WWE women's tag team titles off of two women from SmackDown, all you need to do is throw somebody from Raw in as a guest referee, and you've done the gambit. You've done the gambit at that point.
No doubt about it. You know what's something else on this show that I didn't find offensive at all was the I Quit match. I'm telling you, I enjoyed this more than usual.
With Josh and Santana?
Yes.
I really thought this was good. It's hard to do an I Quit match well.
That feels believable.
It's one of those things where if the babyface quits, you got to rehab them a lot. And if the heel quits, you kind of have to make it like a cowardly Matt Hardy strapped to the table type thing.
Yeah.
But he had him at the end. He used his own handcuff straps against him. He was about to curb stomp him on the friggin' chairs and stuff. He had already taken off his headgear, which had become a big thing in the match. They didn't involve, unless I'm forgetting something, they didn't involve interference from the Northern Armory, which I thought was a nice touch.
Yeah.
He got the I Quit from Josh Alexander.
Having them banned at ringside right off the bat was a real good idea.
Oh, were they banned ahead of time?
Yeah, they were banned from ringside.
I think I missed that, but
yeah.
Either way, good decision on their part. It's funny that Santino Marella is such a goofy guy, but he still plays such a good authority figure.
I know.
While he's messing up everybody's name. And I'm going to send you over to WWE to face John Cena. But yeah, no, Josh Alexander, those of you that have been listening to me for a long time know that I've been a fan of Josh Alexander since I first saw him at Destiny. Yes, check it off your Spaz Phoenix bucket list.
There we go.
It's fine. Really good dude. Another dude that I'd love to see go up against Penta if we're giving Penta like technical wrestling opponents.
Yeah.
You got all kinds of opportunity to bring him in, make him the NXT champion, team him back up with Ethan Page, and get the North back together since they're both heels now.
Now we got to figure out who Dominic is having Chad Gable call. You know, he said he's going to teach him the dark arts of lucha. You know, so
it's heel Lince Dorado.
People are thinking it's Malachi. I mean, anything's possible at this point with WWE, so I'm not going to put it past him.
I've heard that as well. I
don't think so. But
trust me, I would love to see Malachi Black versus Penta. I think that would be a lot of fun. But, like, why would Malachi Black be teaching anybody about lucha?
I think they're going with the dark arts thing. The dark arts of lucha is what they said. So I think that's like
fair.
Maybe you need like the evil ways to stop it is what they're saying. The anti-luchador. I don't know.
I guess that could.
I agree with what you're saying. It doesn't really totally fit, but people are just like they hear dark arts and they're like, oh my god, it's Malachi, and so. Anything's possible though with WWE. I mean,
wouldn't it be
we
funny
originally thought he had a 5-year contract, and now it wasn't renewed.
Eventually, when we get Rey Fenix, they don't do the Lucha Bros. Rey Fenix comes in as a heel and attacks Penta, and you just get a Rey versus Penta feud in WWE for reasons.
That would be another thing that would be great.
Winner gets to be the new leader of the LWO. But no,
we've seen crazier things happen. So I mean,
yeah. But Josh is done. Apparently, him quitting on screen was legit.
Yes, which was kind of a cool thing and cool way to end it. Like you said, if you're gonna have an I Quit match, make it legit with this.
One thing they're really good at in TNA is, and early days NXT did this as well, specifically with the Four Horsewomen a lot. They're very good at giving you a kayfabe break. Like, have the match. You guys are gonna hate each other. He's a dick. You guys are going to knock 10 bells out of each other. The match is over. Let's have a real moment. He basically hands the reins of TNA over to Mike Santana in a really cool moment, announces he's retiring, and leaves. And does it in a way that, even though he came in that night as a heel, still gives the crowd an opportunity to cheer him.
Yeah, now, and give him an out and a goodbye. You know,
this was his last match,
well done.
But his contract isn't over until February 1st. Which lines up quite nicely with the Rumble.
Yes.
But the rumor is they want to bring him back for at least one more show to give him a proper, like, farewell, goodbye, whatever. Santino has mentioned on social that he's going to address the Josh situation on the live Impact
episode,
on this Thursday, if it's just going to be a send-off or whatever, because he basically adopted the two guys for the Northern Armory. Judas Icarus is another one that I've had the opportunity to see at Destiny. He's a lot of fun as a solo guy. So when I turn on TV and see him as a tag guy, it's a completely different set of things. I guess, are they still going to be the Northern Armory just as a tag team now? We'll have to see how that goes. It is what it is. Jordan Grace, very, very similar. Grace is done. All but confirmed that she's WWE bound, if not NXT bound. One or both of them showing up at the Rumble would be awesome. Grace, I expect more. Josh, I would pop for more because I'm not sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we got to talk about the one guy that wasn't on Genesis. The one guy that's also very done with TNA. PCO had a match at the it's not Bloodsport, but it was a GCW versus the World. Is that
or the People versus GCW?
People versus GCW. I don't know what the match was. It doesn't matter. After his match, he said, "Give me the tools." Lays out the TNA Digital Media Championship on a chair and beats the shit out of it.
Then grabs the mic and proceeds to cut an anti-TNA promo.
I didn't hear the promo. I was watching the pay-per-view.
So security tried to rip the microphone away from him, and then it just cut to a pre-tape because GCW had no idea.
Yeah,
they were doing this. And
initially, apparently they thought it was like, oh, he's just doing something to push forward his next TNA story or whatever.
Yeah, until they
smashed the belt.
Yeah,
apparently. It was only a replica belt, and TNA is in possession of the actual belt, but that's not the point, really.
No, it was done to send a statement, of course, and I can't, dispute him being upset. So what happened was, allegedly, he was going ahead and he was offered to continue his contract, but at a lesser rate so he could stay with TNA. Because then all of a sudden they didn't renew his contract at all, and now it's kind of just like, hey, buddy, sorry, I know we said we were going to renew you, but we need you to drop the title at this next show. You're not supposed to work, and then we also need you to, not come back again.
Go ahead and fuck off. Yeah. Well, the other thing, too, is, and again, this ties into Scott D'Amore not being there anymore. Apparently, when he signed his last deal with them, it included a world title run.
Yeah.
And let me be frank between, what I like and what I think should actually happen. I like PCO. I like the PCO gimmick. I like the whole, French-Canadian Frankenstein thing. I think it's awesome. I think it's something that I could only really see on my TV on a TNA show. Much like the Raven Clockwork whatever match, right? And all that other kind of stuff. I like that TNA exists because TNA let me get a lot of PCO, and I think the whole PCO thing is awesome.
Yeah.
But you're not giving him a world title, man. Can we be kind of real for a second?
Yeah, people are not gonna feel comfortable in that regard either. So
I good for him. He had something to say and he said it. I think if anything, he's burned a bridge. That's obvious. Obviously, he doesn't care about burning a bridge. I think the more unfortunate, I don't know much about GCW. I won't pretend that I do. But I think he put GCW in a really awkward spot.
He definitely did, and that's
unfortunate.
Yeah, so he certainly did. And that's very unfortunate for them because they're really trying to better their name at this point in time, and
they did. I mean, look at the attendance.
Absolutely.
I can't find a proper attendance listing for it because it's not on Wikipedia or anything like that. But the Curtis Culwell Center in Texas there, all the pictures you see, especially the ones farther back, another really good follow if you guys aren't following him already is former WWE referee Jimmy Corderas.
He's great on Twitter.
Who gets yelled at on Twitter for enjoying stuff because it's 2025 and the world is stupid. But he shared a bunch of pictures from people that were there, and it's just these overhead crowd shots. And it's like, no, they're not pretending that they're selling out an arena or they're selling out a stadium. It's like, look, this is TNA. And for TNA, this is pretty fucking good. Like, they're not trying. Like, this is the thing. Unlike other people, they're not trying to say, hey, we're coming for WWE. We're going to be better than WWE. We're going to sell out 5 stadiums. They're saying, this is what we do. And we're doing pretty fucking good right now for us.
Yeah, we're doing very well.
I don't think that's unfair. I don't think it's unfair to say that they're kicking ass right now.
No doubt about it.
But yeah, no, it's because I do have the spreadsheet, because I'm that asshole. Pick on me for being the tribal asshole, because I will wear that label proudly.
But see, I don't find you to be tribalistic. I find you to be like reverse tribalistic.
Oh, okay.
In the sense of like you respond to the tribalism by boasting about your favorite, where you support all wrestling. You're not you even watch AEW times and fairly judge them. If you were truly biased to NXT, like you favor NXT, but you're not tribalistic at all. You just respond to the tribalist assholes by sounding tribalist. it's very convoluted, but
I'm very good at winding people up.
Yeah, you love it, and you're great at it.
But it's one of those things where it's like,
you're very accepting and welcoming, and you give things a chance, which most people don't. So I give you the utmost credit. As soon as people say they're completely
unbiased, I don't trust them.
Yeah, you have to be a little biased.
Because everybody no, it's not about you have to be, but like everybody has bias.
Well, everybody has bias. That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
my bias is WWE. Like, I give WWE more latitude than anybody else. But it's the same as when you first joined this channel a long time ago, the reverse happened with NXT. Because NXT was the best thing happening at that time. And it's like, if something happens here, we're going to be 10 times harder on it.
Yeah.
But now, at this point with WWE, I'll admit it, I'm pretty biased towards WWE in the sense of, if they do something dumb, it's probably not going to register to me because there's this and this and this and this and this and this and this to look forward to, right?
Yes.
If I see something dumb on AEW, I'm going to come down on it because it's probably the 5th dumb thing that's happened there. So I do not give them the same benefit of the doubt. And in that regard, I am biased, which makes me tribal by nature, because the idea of being unbiased doesn't exist.
No.
This is my point. But it's one of those, like, eventually you have to get to a point, like, I'm not going to name names, but you saw the guy I was dealing with on X the other day. It was like, oh, why does Triple H get held on such a high pedestal? Well, he's achieved this, and this. The company is doing this, and this better than before he took over. Well, yeah, but you can't tell people what to like. I'm not telling people what to like. You asked the question, why is Triple H up on a pedestal right now? And I gave you a bunch of reasons.
And
Eat my ass with a spoon.
What facts do you have? And he just kept giving opinions. And I'm like, okay, but what facts do you have? Attendance numbers are up. Like any merit you can find is logistically up. Even if you don't like using the gate, like that's a fact.
I'm a WWE guy. Within WWE, I'm an NXT guy, right? You know what I want? I want more people to show up to a fucking NXT show.
Oh, absolutely.
I want a lot more people to show up to an NXT show. I like these weird small venues that they're exploring. At the same time, I wish they didn't have to explore weird small venues.
Yes, I totally get that.
But I can be honest, I don't have to turn my back on the product to say I wish there was more people there. But no, the arenas are fine. And in Australia, we moved from a stadium to a arena, and it used to be a pay-per-view, and now it's a tape-delayed Sunday night show.
Like, I don't even understand how it got to be that bad. What return on investment are they getting from this now? Airing it overnight, and then, not overnight, but you know what I mean, like the tape delay, because they're having it at 2:30 in the morning our time, I guess, is the final of it. Like, just... So you have to fly everybody over there, wrestlers, talent, production, lights, camera, all of that stuff. That's insanely expensive to get everyone over there.
To play a show on a tape delay.
Yes.
To be in its normal 8 o'clock spot over here, that's going to then be delayed by basketball. So you're watching a delayed, tape-delayed show. Yep. You know what the bummer is about that, honestly? And you and I have talked a lot about the WWE international shows and the value of the international shows and whatever. Weirdly, and it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, I like the whole, holy fuck, it's happening in Australia, what time do I have to get up today?
Yes.
Like, I find that interesting. I don't like getting up at 6 a.m.
No.
But I like that, like, wrestling is everywhere. Wrestling is not just in our bubble. You and I have had those conversations before.
Yes.
If this was a proper pay-per-view happening at the regular time in Australia, and I had to get up at whatever the hell time to watch it here, cool. they're stepping it up. They would be making a legitimate step. I was looking forward to it.
I was as well, with it being in Australia.
Admittedly not being an AEW fan, and admittedly,
I've been a fan of Grand Slam. I've gone to one. You know, I've always tried to catch it. And now, like you said, all right, I at least appreciate, if I want to sleep in and not catch it when it's live, that's my choice. But now they took that choice away.
But everything's already been spoken about by the time you get up now.
Exactly.
It's kind of the unfortunate. And I know a lot of people are going to tell me, hey, that's what we deal with when we're watching like New Japan or whatever. I get that. But
I don't think there's anything now that you can't watch live with New Japan because of how they.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying like with the people similarly like getting up and deciding to watch it later because of whatever. But at the same time, you're dealing with that with New Japan. I would assume you're dealing with that time delay as a New Japan constantly. It's different than a mostly North American show having this one, hey, we're going to be at this different time because X, Y, and Z, and that being the cool special thing just that one weekend. It's a different thing. It's the same literal problem with different context.
Yeah.
But, no, I for a second there, because we talked about it last week, and I said I thought it was a pay-per-view, because they took Collision out of it, and they were just calling it Grand Slam.
Yes.
I thought it was a pay-per-view. It was being presented as a pay-per-view until they stuck the little Max logo in the corner, so you knew it wasn't a pay-per-view. So, it's going to, quote-unquote, compete with Vengeance Day. No, it's not. Not in the slightest.
Happens.
No, I'm going to be watching that on Netflix. Anyways, moving swiftly on. Netflix has a slightly larger audience than Max. I'm going to go out on a wild guess on that one. Speaking of shit that probably the only thing I'm not going to be watching on Netflix is Saturday night's main event coming up this Saturday. We're going to talk about each individual match, but I just want to say something because I think it sounds really funny.
Yeah.
Ripley and Jax are going to hit each other really hard. Strowman and Fatu are going to hit each other real hard.
Hold on, before we get there, we forgot to note on one very important thing.
Yeah.
We missed the main thing about it. Joe Hendry is now the TNA World Champion.
Oh, fuck, yeah.
See? That's why it's good to have your co-host here. Yeah, we totally skipped over that. But Joe Hendry, like I said, there's not much to say here. I'm super happy for him. I am so excited. It is his time. If he lost here, no matter it was going to be bad for Hendry. People were going to stop believing in Joe Hendry. The reaction he got was deafening. That pop, even in a small venue like that, the way they did it was great. The match was a ton of fun. Just when you think that
JBL got involved again, Kaz got involved and tried to cash in,
and JBL's goes to stop that and it takes out Namath anyway.
Okay, one thing I will be bummed about slightly, because nobody promised anything, but it was heavily implied that Kaz was going to come get his revenge on JBL on Raw, and that didn't happen. Not that I want to see a Kaz-JBL match, but I kind of wanted to see Kaz show up on Monday Night Raw. That would have been
I don't think
cool.
It's done and over with yet.
No.
That's the thing. So and they made you tune in with that idea of like, oh, will he? So I think it just added to the segment overall, and that's what they were really going for.
JBL going back to just being WWE JBL, not the guy in the trench coat clotheslining everybody that he can find. Not saying that's terrible. I was just like this indie, like, I hate to be cliche like this. He's kind of being the indie taker. Show up, clothesline somebody, leave. With your trench coat and everything.
Exactly.
I kind of hoped that he was going to do something like that, but then he just showed up and he was regular JBL and did some commentary and fucked around with like Kofi versus Ray and kind of didn't like either of them. Hey, back when he beat me at WrestleMania, I had a 95-degree fever. Okay, the shtick is getting old. I get it. It's fun.
I get it.
Yeah, I'm not paying $95 for an autograph either. You can fuck off.
Yeah, you're not worth that either,
but
Mr. JBL.
But no, it was really good. I still think there's a chance both of them show up in the Rumble. No matter which one of them has the belt.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it can happen. I think something like that is bound to happen eventually. It's going to be crazy. But I'm happy for Joe Hendry. I'm glad it's his time.
I heard somebody say, like, because the idea was, maybe he'll get a quick run before he comes over to WWE. But now that they're like the two companies are more tightly linked, do you think Joe Hendry stays in TNA, has a longer title run, and just does WWE stuff when he feels like it?
Certainly seems like it. I mean,
Because there's now, like, with the two of them being connected now, like, he's not going to lose that connection, so there's not as much of a rush.
Yeah.
And with the influx that we're going to get of, like, a Josh Alexander, like a Jordan Grace, maybe a Ricky Starks, maybe, like, you don't want to be one name on a list. You want to be the guy on the head of the list, or you want to be on a one-person list.
Yeah.
Like, maybe let him have a run this time next year. He actually makes the full move over. I don't think there's a rush for him anymore, whereas before... It would have been like, okay, you're...
Yeah, we need this. Out. Hurry, hurry, hurry.
Yeah. Or not necessarily hurry, 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 but like, hey, just get a title run so you can say you had one. And
it feels like time
on.
was a wasting. Exactly. That's what I'm getting at. Yeah, you get my point, sir.
Anyways.
But yeah, as far as Saturday night's main event goes,
I'm gonna go back to my funny thing really quick though.
Yes, go right back to it.
I could do this preview in 10 seconds. I've already kind of done it. Ripley's going to hit Jax really hard. Strowman and Fatu are going to hit each other really hard. Sheamus and Breaker are going to hit each other really hard. Gunther's going to hit Jay really hard. That's the preview.
And then Cody and Kevin are going to hit each other very hard.
Here we go.
Contract signing.
What do you think?
Something's got to big happen, right?
What do you think? Well, something's going to happen because it's a contract signing. What do you think the amendment to the contract is?
I don't know, and that if you lose, you don't get to challenge the other again. Like that's it. Maybe make it more finite or something. I could see them adding that because Owens had a shot already, so like this is it.
Yeah. I have one in mind.
Hit me.
That I like, and it's not like a big earth-shattering thing. Like as an announcement, it would kind of come off as like, that's the announcement. Whoever wins the ladder match gets to decide which belt is the belt going forward.
I like that too.
Because I really think, like with the reaction that it got last Saturday night's main event, the way Kevin Owens is holding it without even being a champion, I think they know that there's a stirring for that old belt to come back.
It's got a modern look to it, so it's not like it's this...
Well, it's WWE, not WWF. That's the first thing I looked at on the plate because I'm that guy. But yeah, and there's that modified version that was kicking around in a random photo a couple weeks ago on Twitter and socials and whatever that already had Cody's name on it. So even if they don't do that, or even if they're gonna hang those two belts tonight, they're gonna do like the, you know how every now and then they do like the hanging ceremony, like on the Go Home show. If they hang up those two belts on Saturday, and the ring comes down with one new belt next Saturday, there's your like transformation, transition, whatever you want to call it. But they've got to know that the big giant W belts are ugly, especially when other belts, like the two world titles, look great.
They stand out.
They do. The newest versions of the two sets of tag titles look great.
Yeah. I
don't know how I feel about the U.S. title. Still, men's or women's, it's the exact same design. I'm still. It's been around a while now, and I'm still not sure about that design. I seem to be on an island where I'm not exactly bothered by the latest iteration of the Intercontinental Championship. I think if you look into NXT, you get something super simple like the North American Championship. I think is gorgeous. The newer iterations of the NXT titles look pretty good. The big ugly W's have got to go, and I mean for Tiffany Stratton and for Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
We got out of like Roman carrying 3 belts, which was good, but it's not great. It looks like a hood ornament.
Yeah, it's I don't hate it, but it's better than the spinner belts, granted.
Yeah.
But it's still
the one that was just before this, when they still had the hatch style WWE logo, and it was pretty much the same kind of belt they have now, except it was that W instead. Even that I thought looked a bit better. This just looks too polished, and I know it's not toyish. I'm going the other way.
Other way?
It looks too polished. It looks too pristine.
Not enough of a wrestler badass look to it.
Yeah, like it doesn't look ornate enough. It doesn't look like a prize. It looks like a logo.
Yeah, no,
like the
absolutely.
world titles on Raw. I know people are up and down on like what the design is, but at least there's some design to them. It's not just in the middle, there's your W.
Yeah, and they have some like theming with them, but no, you're absolutely right. And that's kind of been the thing. It's got this look to it, but does it live up? And that's kind of been the issue.
And I get that it's the it's the whole if we give one of these to a winning football team or whatever, it's not going to be recognizable. Okay, keep giving those to the football teams.
Yeah.
And give your actual champion
have that
something
one be
that
the
looks
football
better.
variant. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, that's the
Because you
special
shouldn't have like a random football player that's there for a night as a guest. Yes, you want to treat them like a respected guest, but they shouldn't be carrying the same title as your actual champion.
No,
there has to be some variance in there somewhere. Anyways, other than going through all 4 matches, because all 4 of these matches look like a lot of fun to me.
Yeah.
Out of the 4 of them, do you see any surprises? Like, is Jay a new champion? Is Sheamus a new champion? Is Ripley or is Jax a new champion?
Sheamus is the only one. Sheamus is the only one because of the story, but I feel like they want to wait until Mania for that.
Yes.
Right? Like, that really feels like a Mania decision, so I don't see... I think the Sheamus match, it's either going to... Braun Breaker cheats or something underhanded, and he's like, Sheamus just about to win, Breaker cheats, hits him with the belt or something in those lines, and then they're screwed, so...
Yeah. I think Sheamus
that's the case.
Is the only one as well. My only thing is, and what you just said is kind of what they have to not do at Saturday night's main event. You want to make it feel like the show where something can happen. And everybody that I've heard, not just yourself, but like other podcasters as well, oh, that would be really cool, but why wouldn't we save it for a pay-per-view? Well, because you want this show to feel big, too. And if you're saying, oh, we can't do that, it's only Saturday night's main event, you're putting it in that battle of the belts territory.
Exactly, you're already shooting yourself in the foot.
I think Sheamus winning this. I think if they turn it on its head and the world title goes on first instead of last,
yes,
and you put if Sheamus and Breaker somehow main events, then Sheamus is winning.
Yes, okay, I agree. But I don't see really that's the only time because I don't see Gunther losing now.
No.
They've got stories to tell with him, and then I really don't see...
Jax is still...
Rhea just won the belt back.
They were specific about it, too. Jax, Bayley's come over to Raw. We didn't get a chance to talk about that. Bayley's officially back on Raw. Awesome.
Which is fun. I'm happy about, yeah.
I'm really happy about that because, all kinds of things. Her and Io can mix it up again. Her and Asuka can mix it up again. I don't know how we said it last week. I don't know how you get to Bayley or Ripley, but I want to see it.
Yeah.
But they were specific to say Bayley's come to Raw. Jax is only here because of the sharing window thing. So I don't think, if anything, Tiffany Stratton's gonna cost her, and that'll lead to Jax getting her one rematch on SmackDown, and then something. But Ripley and Jax just running into each other. They showed in a stadium in Australia that can be awesome. That main evented the biggest of the B pay-per-views, I guess you would say, Elimination Chamber now, because it's part of the road to WrestleMania, so it's somewhat on par with Royal Rumble, but it's not really on par with Royal Rumble. So I would say Elimination Chamber is the biggest B pay-per-view, and they headlined that in Australia. It was fun, 2 bulls running at each other, and I just think it's. And I'm not saying that Nia Jax looks like a bull. I'm just going to keep my red hankies away. That's all. It's fine.
Yes.
But I just think it's funny that they've put together a whole card of people that are just going to hit each other. The whole Saturday night's main event. It's
going to be a big to-do. And
it's kind of disposable. You could accuse it of being disposable. But if it's going to be disposable, they've put together a pretty fun card. Yeah. And as we said, other than Strowman and Fatu, and by the way, what the fuck does that look like? It is an entirely Raw-leaning card, the rest of it.
That's going to be a fun match. Braun's been working... He's still a big guy style, but a more agile one. So I'm interested to see what we get from them over there. And then on top of it, let's see what happens with Rhea Ripley and Nia Jax. I mean, like you said, is Bayley get involved? Is there more of a story to tell?
They're not going to. They're not going to. But I want to know what it looks like if Jay pulls off that win.
I'm curious as well. So
they're getting really good with Jay at getting us to want it.
Yes.
But kind of like we said about Joe Hendry, you can only cry wolf so many times.
Yeah, without hurting him. And
Joe Hendry versus Jey Uso. That would be a fun
That's a great match.
That would
especially for like the Rumble type, show. I think he's going to be involved in the Rumble.
If you want to have him, well, if we're gonna start having proper WWE crossover, Joe Hendry shows up for a night with an open challenge, Jey Uso.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't even have to be like, they can both be baby faces, they can both be crowd favorites, they can just have a fun match, fun exhibition, give people a chance to sing the Joe Hendry song. Jey Uso becomes the first WWE superstar to hold the TNA championship.
Right.
What the fuck am I booking? Anyways, Saturday night's main event's going to be a lot of fun. Like we said, guys, we're not doing a separate preview for that because time constraints don't really allow it, and plus there's not that much to talk about.
Yeah, there really isn't much to preview, really. I mean, like we said, it's very straightforward. Naya's not going to beat Rhea because Rhea just got the belt. They're telling a story with Gunther. I don't see him losing.
Yep.
And then, Braun and Jacob, I think Jacob will win. And then Sheamus, I don't think it's going to win yet. I think Breakker cheats.
Yeah, Sheamus is a maybe. I think it would be interesting to see, like, Ludwig tries to help his mentor after his mentor tells him not to.
Yeah.
Because he does do that honorable heel thing every now and then where he says, like, fuck off, I don't need the help, I'm going to
do it myself. Yeah.
But, like, if what's his name? I just said it. Kaiser comes down to help him out and fails, and it turns into a feud between Gunther and Kaiser, where Kaiser can step his game up and sort of get himself into at least a mid-card title conversation. Yeah. That wouldn't be the worst use of Gunther either, because Kaiser's sneakily good. He just feels like a side character in every feud.
Look at Vinci, same deal.
Look at Vinci. He showed up twice and lost to Apollo Crews.
Yep.
And Apollo Crews farts on pillows, apparently.
Even more forgettable.
Anyways, we got to wind it up. There's a lot of stuff to say about this TNA WWE deal. We're going to keep a close eye on that going forward. Saturday night's main event should be good. All things being equal, I should be over on Jake's channel doing a live reaction after that show. And with that being said, Jake, tell them where to find you.
Again, you can find me on YouTube, Jake Countdown Ended DeMarco, or on Twitter at Countdown Ended. Going to be a lot of fun with these live shows coming up, and then, it's an action-packed weekend with the Rumble after that. Going to be a good time.
And we can make fun of the not-so-grand slam in Australia while we get ready for Vengeance Day. And you guys know where to find me, or you wouldn't be here. I've been Spaz. This has been Jake. This has been... State of Wrestling / Saturday night's main event preview / we rushed through it because we both have other things to do. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation, keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later. But for right now, me and Super Sexy Jake DeMarco are tagging out. Bye,
Where the hell
guys.
are the Wyatt Six?
Facts.